Hello again, welcome to our TNT. This is Friday, the last day of our weekday in Thailand. Tomorrow we've got a live program. I've got Max, my insurance broker, with us. He speaks good English and he'll be very happy to answer your questions. That's a full hour live between 9 and 10 a.m. Thai time. We invite you to come along. There's no memberships involved. Everybody's able to drop in and you can ask about or comment on other things relating to Thailand as well, of course, but Max will be here for the full hour if you'd like to mine his brain about things relating to insurance that you may or may not need when you come to Thailand. Now, we will, as usual, put our political stuff at the end of the program today. Not world-shattering or huge milestone events, but certainly things that I'd like to keep you up to date with, remembering that next Thursday is the big D-Day for Thai politics, when they start to not only nominate but elect a new Prime Minister. In any other democratic country, you would have already had almost 2 months of the new government, and Pita Limjareonrat would be the Prime Minister. But here we are in a situation where we really don't know what's going to happen. And I fear it's going to be quite a long and tortuous process. And I think it's going to be a lot more complex and difficult than people might think. And all this comes down to the military, who installed this 2017 constitution that has caused all this delay and will probably rip schisms in the Thai political landscape. Anyway, more about that later. We'll go to this story starting at the Bangkok Post. And it says brand value of Thai Airways sags. And the tepid resumption of business travel and inability of Thailand to become a connectivity hub. I didn't know what that meant, but we do find out a little bit later in the article, but a strange term. But it's led to Thai Airways brand value to grow slower than its competitors, while Centara Grand secured the strongest brand in the country this year. Alex Haig, the Managing Director for Asia Pacific at Brand Finance, said the government should work more on promoting the country in terms of objectives for visits, attracting people to live, work and retire here, not limiting itself to leisure tourism, for which the country is already popular. Alex, I don't know you, but I couldn't agree with you more, as certainly Thailand needs to promote itself for attracting people to live, work and retire here. This is a great country to do all those things. Yeah, it's a great place to visit for tourism as well, but I see a big future here for Thailand with things like the digital nomads and with people retiring here. But well said, Alex. Let's read more of your article. The company study of Thai brands this year found the brand value of Thai Airways was $990 million US, among the top 50 brand values in the country, although its value decreased from $1.37 billion recorded back in 2019. Mr. Haig said although the airline grew by 3% in terms of brand value from last year, this was a slower pace than regional competitors like Singapore Airlines, Malaysia Airlines, which grew 8% and 5% respectively. In addition, Thailand's inbound tourism still has a long way to go before it can match pre-pandemic levels, attributed to reduced demand among Chinese travellers, a lack of business visitors, and a failure to create international connectivity. So I think that international connectivity is really talking about inbound flights into Thailand. And certainly there are a lot fewer flights available, which is pushing up the prices, yada, yada, yada. And Bangkok also lagged in terms of business perception, ranking 81st and 77th out of 100 cities for a good city for investment and a place to live respectively. Yeah, I've lived and worked in Bangkok, and it's an interesting place to work, but it's probably a more fun place to live and visit. But then again, at the end of the day, I live here in Phuket. And the study also reported the strongest brand this year in Thailand was Centara Grand, edging out Kasikorn Bank, the leader last year, which dropped to third place, and PTT, which is the big petrochemical company here in Thailand, remained number 2, the same position as last year. The article says Brand Finance measures brand strength on how well known a brand is, when customers make choices among several brands, and Dusit and Anantara were among the strongest hotel brands in Thailand, even though the two companies have yet to enter the top 50 brand value ranking. Both are fairly boutique brands, and although they're certainly luxury, very nice places to stay, perhaps not as well known as places like Sentara Grand. And that article from the Bangkok Post. It's our Friday TNT. Thank you very much for dropping in, and please subscribe to the channel if you get a moment. And going to our next story on the iPad here from Banar News. And Thailand extends work permit process for migrants from 4 neighbouring countries. There has been an amnesty in place for a few months, which would allow some of these migrants that are in Thailand, either legally or illegally, to extend their visas and find a way of staying here, because there, as we know, there's a shortage of labour in Thailand, with a lot of jobs still remaining unfilled. Let's find out more. And Thailand will allow 500,000 foreign migrants to stay in the country until the end of July to process work permits after they missed a mid-May deadline. This from a government spokeswoman. The workers from Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar and Vietnam are among 2.74 million foreigners employed in Thailand as of May. These numbers from the Ministry of Labour. Of this number, most of them are from Myanmar. Well, certainly here in Phuket, we do see quite a few Burmese migrant workers around, not only in things like construction, but I'm also seeing them in white-collar jobs. Just speaking yesterday to one Burmese general manager of a hotel. And the spokeswoman said after the deadline, there were approximately 500,000 foreign workers who could not finish the process in time, adding that the administration of Prayut Chan-o-cha approved the extension on Wednesday. Of course, Prayut Chan-o-cha and the former cabinet still running the country until a new cabinet and prime minister can be elected. Those workers fall into 3 categories. The first is people from the 4 neighbouring Southeast Asian countries whose passports or visas expired, and those who lost their jobs but could not find a new employer. The second is for nationals from those countries who overstayed their visas, and the third is for migrant workers from Cambodia, Laos and Myanmar who were hired illegally. Those from Vietnam are not included. And the workers' children, younger than 18, have the right to stay in Thailand with their parents. So basically that amnesty extended until the end of this month to try and get this extra 500,000 migrant workers registered in Thailand. Moving on to our next story now. And from thenationthailand.com, dengue cases surge threefold with 33 fatalities already this year. And over 27,000 people fell ill with dengue fever during the first half of this year, and 33 of them died. And since the start of June, between 1,500 and 2,400 have been sickened by dengue, causing up to 3 fatalities. The age group with the most cases was children aged 5 to 14, followed by the 15 to 24-year-old age group. And the highest number of cases were seen in the south, followed by Bangkok and the central region. Dengue fever is caused by any one of 4 virus strains transmitted through the bite of an infected Aedes mosquito, and people suffering from a high fever for more than 2 days should visit a hospital immediately to check whether they had dengue to avoid the chance of dying from the virus. Believe me, if you've got a high fever and the aches and pains usually associated from dengue, you'll be much happier in a hospital getting some treatment. It is something that you just need to have in the back of your mind if you're visiting or living in Thailand. The numbers are still very small compared to the population and the number of visitors, but still, just as a precaution, in the description below I've put a link to an article which gives you an idea of ways that you can avoid dengue fever. We couldn't do this program without the support of our sponsor, 5 Star Marine, so very happy to talk about them. If you want to go out on a private VIP tour off the coast of Phuket out into Phang Nga Bay to any of the beautiful islands and beaches out there. I am very happy to recommend 5 Star Marine. There's a link in the description below. That's where the ad finishes. Now, just slightly diverting off what we normally do, but this story caught my eye, but not for the reason you think. And the story from Thai PBS World, Meta takes aim at Twitter with Threads app. Millions join. So just very briefly, Meta, Facebook, have launched this new Threads app, which is, well, it looks like Twitter and it works like Twitter, but it actually sort of is joined to the hip of Instagram. So if you join Threads, all your Instagram account members are automatically sort of linked to it. I haven't really checked it out yet, but it is an existential threat to the future of Twitter, which is already in a huge debacle since Elon Musk bought it last year for some $44 billion. I don't know what it's worth now, but I'd say substantially less. It's just a complete basket case. But anyway, this article I thought was quite interesting. Just very briefly, and you'll see why I'm reading this in a moment. Meta platform on Wednesday launched a direct challenge to Twitter with Threads, garnering millions of users in hours as it sought to take advantage of its rival's much weakened state after a series of chaotic decisions from owner Elon Musk. And Mark Zuckerberg said, "Let's do this. Welcome to Threads." He said the app logged 10 million sign-ups in 7 hours, but I like this last paragraph. Zuckerberg, responding to a user who predicted Twitter's demise about an hour after the Threads launch, cautioned patience. We're only in the opening moments of the first round here. But then, Senator Prapasi Suchanthabut vowed on Thursday to vote for Move Forward leader Pita Limjareonrat to be the next PM as she holds to her stance to vote for party with the most votes. So it looks like somebody sort of forgot to clear their keyboard before they started on that next story about Facebook's new app. Moving to our next story now, and this from escape.com.au, why you should never leave a negative hotel review in Thailand. And reviews are a great way to help other travellers out, but in some places you might be better off staying quiet, as there could be serious consequences. We've all been there, whether it was a rude receptionist, an infestation of bed bugs, or the stingy ratio of gin to tonic. Sometimes you've just got to vent. Not to settle some petty score, no, as part of a noble cause, to let the internet know, so future travellers can choose a little better. No, it's usually out of revenge. In case you hadn't already guessed, I'm talking about hotel reviews, says the writer. And it refers to a tweet from Elon Musk. A friend wrote a negative hotel review in Thailand. While he was in his room, he received a call from the hotel owner informing him police were waiting downstairs. Under pressure, he signed a gag order and deleted the review. Then he was kicked out without a refund for that day. I'm not sure if that actually happened. I mean, similar things have happened, but not quite as serious or blatant as that. It sounds just like a little bit of an exaggeration. One Reddit user who goes by the username Luck Johnny wrote, "Just in general, you shouldn't write a bad review until you leave." I agree with that wholeheartedly. Another user disagreed, saying that if you want a problem solved, leaving a review whilst you're there can see your issue get attention quickly. Obviously, they've never been to Thailand. If you want a problem solved, writing a bad review and then rubbing it under the nose of the receptionist is not going to help at all. And another Reddit user wrote, "Thailand has ridiculous defamation laws. It's all about not losing face, even if what you're saying is true." Well, that's sort of right. There are fairly draconian defamation laws, and some people who have written bad reviews have, suffered the wrath of those defamation laws. Whether or not you believe all the rumour mongering of a random Reddit thread, you do need to be careful with hotel reviews in Thailand. This is because defamation is a criminal offence in Thailand, one that can land you in prison for up to 2 years, along with a 200,000 baht fine. The article goes on, this isn't the first time Thailand's strict defamation laws have made the news. In October 2020, a US expat in Thailand narrowly avoided jail after writing a string of negative hotel reviews, which allegedly came after he became indignant over a dispute about a corkage fee. I think from memory that was on the island of Koh Phangan back in 2020. But look, just some sage advice there. If you've got a problem with your hotel room, don't write a bad review and hope it's going to get some immediate action. The immediate action it might attract is probably not what you expect. The best thing you can do is just waddle down to reception, smile, and be calm and just talk about it. Now, just out of interest, today is an anniversary, a 5-year anniversary, which started a 3-day rescue mission in the Tham Luang caves to bring those 13 young footballers out of the cave 5 years ago. And the next 3 days were the 3 days 5 years ago that they took to bring those footballers out, first 4, then 5 on the final day. So it just reminded me that I was sort of involved reporting from Phuket, and this is one of the reports I did.
I'm joined now by journalist Tim Newton. He's joining us from Thailand with the very latest. And Tim, how likely is this incident to impact morale during the ongoing rescue operation?
Hi, Sarah. Well, obviously, after the jubilation on Monday night following the discovery of the 13 footballers, this death has put a real stop on what was going to be a rescue over the next couple of days, or that was what was foreshadowed.
So at the time I was reporting for the Canada Broadcasting Commission, Deutsche Welle, 2CC in Canberra, 6 radio stations in the United States, CNN and a whole lot of others. So it was a fairly busy time for me reporting about the Tham Luang caves. I was just sitting in the comfort of my living room in Phuket, whilst of course they were wading around in the mud in torrential rain up in Chiang Rai trying to get these kids out. So there are some really, really good documentaries and films made about it. I think the best one is still Thai Cave Rescue, which is on Netflix. It's got subtitles in many languages. You can also actually listen to it in English if you want to change the soundtrack, but I recommend watching Thai Cave Rescue in the original Thai language and just turning on the English subtitles. 5 years ago this week that they brought those kids out of the Tham Luang caves. Moving on to our next story now, we start with some of our political coverage and we go to this post on Calcite English. Second Deputy House Speaker said yesterday that if the Move Forward Party PM candidate, Pita Limjareonrat, fails to get the 376 votes needed to become PM on July 13, a second and even third voting will be held on July the 19th and 20th. I just suspect this is probably not going to all happen on next Thursday, that it will drag on for days, perhaps even weeks. We're a long, long way from getting this sorted out, and I fear that there is quite a lot of dissension, a lot of abstentions by the senators. None of those help as we try and elect a Prime Minister under this controversial 2017 constitution in Thailand. The next story from BangkokPost.com, Pita sees senators backtrack, and several senators have now backtracked and said they will no longer vote for Move Forward Party leader Pita to become the new Prime Minister, as they're concerned about his party's policies, especially the planned amendment of the Lèse Majesté law and a shift in foreign policy. Well, I'm not sure why they're stating this now. This has been known since before the election and certainly immediately after the election, when it became clear that his Move Forward Party had won the highest number of votes. Anyway, this is part of the politics. They're bringing this up again, despite pledging to vote for him. They've apparently had a change of heart due to the party's stance on changing Section 112 of the Criminal Code, the Lèse Majesté law. The Move Forward Party has vowed to press for an amendment. One of the senators said one of the main reasons that he's seeking to amend Section 112 as well as reform the monarchy. The MFP stance on foreign policy also poses a danger for the country. I'm not quite sure what that danger is. His next sentence doesn't help explain. Thailand is friendly to every country. If Mr. Pita comes to power, foreign policy will be changed in a way that leans toward a particular superpower, without actually telling us what that superpower is, let alone the complaints questioning Mr. Pita's eligibility due to his former shareholding in ITV. And he also revealed that representatives of the Move Forward party had approached senators about voting for Mr Pita, but most said they would make a decision shortly before the July 13 vote. But he admitted Mr Pita was unlikely to receive enough support to successfully emerge as the nation's next Prime Minister. And this final paragraph, the Charter stipulated the Senate could only serve a 5-year transitional term following the 2019 election. That ends in May next year. So could you imagine that the 8-party coalition could somehow drag out this situation until May next year, when a new Senate would be elected, which would totally change the political landscape? And that would leave the caretaker government running the country for, I suppose, another 10 months. Is that possible? Maybe it is. But what's going to happen next week and in the intervening weeks, I think, is going to surprise a lot of people. I don't think anybody has really any idea exactly what's going to happen. My fear is it's probably going to get messy. I doubt whether it's going to be sorted out next Thursday on the first day of voting. Anyway, let's see. Tomorrow, I've got Max in the studio for an hour. That's a whole hour from 9 to 10. You can ask him anything about insurance in Thailand. And on Sunday, of course, we've got Grumpy Old Men. So please subscribe to the channel. You're mad if you don't. We'll see you next time. Thank you for dropping in for our final weekday TNT of the week. Have a great weekend. If I don't see you then, we'll see you on Monday.